Brandon Benefield, Gerard Bonner, and Diana Michelle.
What is up, everybody? It's that time of the week. It's Friday. You know what that means. It's time for your favorite podcast, the SHW podcast. This is our wrestling. I'm B-Double Brandon Benefield alongside GB Gerard Bonner, the lovely Diana Michelle, and we have a guest co-host this week. If you're watching, you can see who it is. If you're listening, I will tell you who it is. It's Cyrus the Destroyer. And after what happened last Friday, you might think we're crazy for bringing this man on the podcast, but we did, and it's going to be fun, and we're going to have a blast here. But we're also going to recap what happened last Friday because it was our huge anniversary show, SHW Still Here For. But before we get into it, GB, Diana, Cyrus, how is everybody doing? How's your week going? Everybody good?
I'm good. I'm getting better. I was a little bit sick this weekend, and show was kind of rough, but I'm getting there. I'm excited about this recap. I want to hear what Cyrus has to say. I do want to call you Cyrus the Virus so bad, and it's so hard not to call you Cyrus.
That's fun. That's my favorite movie.
I know you
Con
love
Air.
it. That's
Cyrus the Virus. Con Air.
The bunny.
I mean, I really have to check myself in the ring to make sure I do not say it, but I want to so bad. So bad.
If you do, he might scream at you like he screamed at us.
Oh, he'd love it though. So,
oh gosh.
I don't think
just a little.
Yeah.
Just growl just a little bit. I can handle the growl. Don't scream at me. I'll growl.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that because there was an interesting moment there last Friday. But GB, all good on your end?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Still kind of vibing off of Still Here For.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a crazy night. Crazy night. So always good to be back with the SHW family. Always.
Absolutely. And of course, our guest host Cyrus coming off a big win last Friday. How's your week going? How's everything going in Cyrus's world?
I mean, it's going better than normal because I almost killed a man. So that was even better.
That makes you feel good. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, too bad he got up after the 10 count. That's just saying.
But hey,
but he didn't get up before the 10 count, and that put the nail in the coffin to say.
I'll give that. Match was over.
There you
Match
go.
was over.
Well, we'll get to that match here in just a little bit, but of course, this is our big recap show. So let's kind of get into it here and start from the top down here. The opening of the show was the first ever Diamond Dallas Page Diamond Cup Invitational. We had 12 guys. Okay, well, we already had the 2 rings set up for the main event, right? So might as well use the 2 rings for another match. We had 12 guys, 6 guys per ring, battle royal style. And GB, you and I were joined by NWO legend Buff Bagwell at the commentary table. That was pretty wild.
It was wild. It was very, very wild. But I enjoyed that. I mean, that's the cool thing about SHW. You never know what's going to happen. And the idea that, we can say we actually called a match or 4 with Buff Bagwell is kind of neat there. So, yeah, great experience. And what a match. I mean, literally, those guys came out of the gate and they were on fire.
Yeah.
Did anybody count how many diamond cutters was done?
I lost count, actually.
I lost count too.
So many. There were so many.
I do know at one point, I believe it was Duncan Mitchell, Naja-sism, and Teriyaki, I think, threw up the diamond cutter sign at one point.
Yeah.
Before they did some sort of high flying maneuver off the top rope. But that was an insane match. Now, Cyrus, when I know, for all the shows that you're at for SHW, when you have a match on the card, are you just in the back kind of focused until your match, or do you have any opportunity to kind of peek through the curtain and watch, the matches before yours or anything like that? Do you keep up with the rest of the show?
Honestly, I try to peek in and look at it and just see what I can work off of. But yeah, mostly just focused on that match to make sure that I'm supposed to do my part in that time when it comes,
Gotcha.
So.
The reason I ask is because there was a lot of high flying acrobatics going on throughout that match. And now a lot of people, if they don't remember, we have seen you do a moonsault from the top rope before. So
yes,
I just didn't know if maybe you were watching, trying to get some ideas of some new aerial maneuvers you might could put into your repertoire.
That's a special occasion. like the
I want to
moonsault.
see. I want to see you do a flying crossbody just one time, maybe on somebody that's really big or that you don't like, because I think that person would die. But
I've actually did off the ropes crossbody on somebody.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, it worked out pretty well.
There you go. I'm trying to remember
Jeez.
who was the moonsault. Was that on Kingsley, right? Was that on Jordan Kingsley?
Yeah, Jordan Kingsley.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know,
Yeah,
he
and
was
the
the first
moonsault
one
on
ever
Kingsley was at Huck.
that I hit it on.
he did one on Huck
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Kingsley was the
me?
first one you hit it?
That Kingsley was the first one I ever hit the moonsault on.
Jeez.
Bless his
Every
heart.
other time before then, I've missed it. So
Phew. Poor
Sucks
Jordan.
to be
Target.
him.
it was
Yeah.
definitely
Oh.
a finish.
Yeah.
That was in
it
a
is
double ring
finish.
too, by the way. Just saying.
Sure was.
Was that last year the
Two
double ring? I
rings?
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
right.
was.
Well,
That's right.
speaking of Kingsley, Kingsley, of course, was one of the winners of the DDP Diamond Cup Invitational. Now, what was crazy about it, if you weren't there, and of course you can check this out on IWTV when it gets released, Teddy Long, holla, holla, holla. Teddy Long was in the house.
Player.
Exactly. And he
Yes.
came out and there was kind of some craziness. It got a little chaotic there towards the end when there were 4 guys left in the ring. Now I'm trying to remember. It was Nick Halen and was it Shoot Taylor, I believe?
Yes.
And then it
Yes.
was Adam Jacobs and Jordan Kingsley.
Yes.
And
Correct.
yeah, it just all hell broke loose. And so Teddy Long came out and said, "Now hold up, players. We're gonna turn this into a tag team match in Teddy
Yeah.
Long fashion." And yeah, so we ended up having 2 winners of the first ever Diamond Cup Invitational, Adam Jacobs and Jordan Kingsley. Now, Buff at one point, he got down there. He was going to present the trophy or the little statue to the winners. And
You kidding? It's a Diamond Cup.
with the
Who's
Diamond
on
Cup, excuse me. Yeah, the Diamond Cup statue,
There it
whatever.
is.
And Halen wasn't going to have any of that. And luckily, Buff had that crutch with him and took out Nick Halen with the crutch. I didn't expect
of
Buff
all,
to get physical in the
He
ring.
has major balls to go over and just snatch any kind of award out of Buff the Stuff's hand. Come
Right?
Yeah.
on. I mean, big balls. But they didn't last long, so.
Oh man. Anyways, yeah. GB's
That
like,
one was
should I
too
say
easy.
no? You know
No.
what? Let's not
Just
go
say
there.
it. Just say
Just gonna
it.
let it go. Just gonna
Just take
let
it.
go.
Take it, man. Take it.
Let
I
it
tell you
go.
what. Well, I will
Kids are
say,
watching. Just
what a way to start off our anniversary show. Coming out hot and a huge 12-man match like that was pretty wild. But anyways, moving on down the line. Then we have our booker, Brooklyn, making her way out to the ring, bringing down the mood. And they want to do a
Tell
coin
them
flip.
how we brought down the mood, though, because somebody played All-Star Special song
Right.
and got everybody confused and happy feeling, and then that heifer gonna come out like she did and just spoil everything as she does. But.
Yeah, so Cyrus, while you've been away, and you probably
Yeah.
have heard this, but yeah, All-Star Special unceremoniously got fired last month over the phone, mind you,
over the phone.
Yeah, by Brooklyn.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
Yeah, it is.
even
Yeah,
better.
well, they thought it was.
well, all right. Not everybody agrees, but all right.
Yeah.
And so they played, yeah. So the music played, and the whole crowd was like, a slow kind of buzz started building because everybody was like, "Wait a second, they're not here, are they?" And of course,
Yeah, I didn't know whether to sing along
Yeah.
or I was like, I didn't see them.
and GB even called it. He's like, "I feel like we're getting trolled here," and that's exactly what happened because
Totally got trolled.
there came Brooklyn, and of course she came out wanting to do a coin toss, a coin flip for the advantage for the War Chamber match, and of course Gary came out.
Good old mind games.
Yeah. And which was smart on her part to do that because I don't think Gary had any plans of doing a coin toss, and he even
didn't
admitted
know.
it.
He admitted he didn't
Yeah,
know.
he didn't even know about it. So he comes out. Todd Sexton comes out. The impartial. By the way, Todd Sexton with a lot to say because over the last however long it's been since Brooklyn's taken control, Todd has had hardly anything to say. We haven't heard anything from him.
Nothing.
So,
But he said things that needed to be said.
yeah.
I mean, even to the point he told Brooklyn to shut up. Ain't nobody done that since she started doing her stuff. So
Yeah.
He also promoted her OnlyFans.
so did Gary.
Right.
Yeah.
I will
But Gary's
say,
done that a couple of times.
And look, to each their own. I no judgment here. Do whatever you want. Make that
Make that
dollar.
money.
Take that dollar.
I had a few friends that came to the show, and it was the first ever show they've been to. And I was like, if you're going to come to one, come to the anniversary show. It's going to be a good one. And yeah, after the show, they were like, hey, so do you have the website address for the OnlyFans? And I was like, hey, I could find it out for you. Okay, well,
maybe I should talk to her. She might need to put those little flyers out on her table.
put it on the merch table.
Don't give her any ideas.
I mean, she's good.
Fan base will grow. Obviously.
She's good with it.
That was probably bad to say too. Carry on. This is not going well at all.
Anyways, let's get to the remainder of the matches here.
Yeah,
so moving on. Then we get into Chip.
Wait. I will say this though.
Yeah,
I will say this. It got really, really spicy. Like they all had a lot to say in some really spicy ways. So tension was super high, and it made for an interesting foreshadowing for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, more spicy than normal. It was.
Yes,
it definitely. Anyways.
But my favorite part though is Todd was like the parent that came out and finally had enough with the kids fighting, and he was putting them in their place, putting them in their corners. Look, this is what's going to happen.
And Gary actually respected that. That was amazing.
Yeah,
that kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, wow.
Me too.
All right. Moving down the list though, Chip and Kyle. This has been building almost as long as Cyrus and Judas, which we'll get to in a minute. But this Chip and Kyle feud has been going on for quite some time. And here's the thing, and we even said this. I don't know if I said it on air or off air in between matches. That kind of a match, a 2 out of 3 falls match, especially at a show as big as our anniversary, which is kind of our mania, if you will.
Yeah,
I thought would kind of put a bow on it. Put a bow on that feud. And the fact that it did not, and we're getting a 30-minute Iron Man match next month where the winner becomes the #1 contender to the SHW title. I mean, that's insane.
big. That's huge.
Now I'm jumping ahead here, but let's get back to the match again. 2 out of 3 falls. Kyle comes out, and what was it? Within like 10 seconds or less?
Yeah,
basically
10
he
seconds.
got that first fall.
Hits that drop kick.
It was so fast, I didn't have time to turn my mic on to announce it.
Right.
Wow.
But I would tell you what, and I think in Cyrus, you would probably agree with this, that going into this matchup, I think everybody knew what to expect, and were excited about it. And I think it even delivered more so than what everybody was expecting. I mean, you've got 2 of the top technical wrestlers in the state, or
exactly.
I think 1 and 2 or 2 and 1. I don't know. I think maybe they're tied. I don't know, but man, it was
I wouldn't
amazing.
even take them as the top 2 in the state. I would take them
Even
like
farther.
at least top 10 in the United States. Like it's amazing.
Great.
Like we've had that battle zone. I've battled both these guys, and they're amazing. Like and just to see them go out there and do what they're doing, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seriously. It's not about the big the big moves or the the high lines. It's straight technical excellence. I mean, might I say, it's a party.
It was definitely technical excellence and a lot of brawling too, which is also something we didn't expect. So they really hit us in some, right off the top. So it was some things we did not expect for sure. And they kept us guessing, and the controversial ending to the match, I mean, people want to get mad at Chip, but Chip has a point. He did. So now we're going to get this Iron Man match, which let me tell you, this is going to be special. This is going to be very, very special. So I can't wait for this. I cannot wait till November the 4th.
Yeah. And we were talking about it after the show. What was the other, the Iron Man? Was it Joe and
it was Joe and Owen.
Joe and Owen.
30-minute classic they gave us. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have had that Iron Man match before, and it's been several months back. But was it last year or earlier this year? I can't remember.
It was earlier this year. Yeah. Because Owen was champ.
That's right. That's right. So anyways, it's not unheard of to have the Iron Man match here in SHW, but we know it's going to be a classic, and we can't wait. That's coming up November 4th. So we are having a show, SHW45. We said at the end of this past show, I don't know what this means, and I'm jumping ahead again. I'm all over the place, but it was a wild night, folks. It was a wild night. But let's move on to the next match. Heather Monroe, the returning Heather Monroe, taking on the debuting Sho Yang, making her singles debut at SHW. And there was been a lot of video, vignettes teasing this over the last couple of months, and it finally happened. Jazzy Yang, a new attitude, a new look. The Sho Yang making her way to SHW and putting on a heck of a match against Heather Monroe.
Yes. And we knew that was going to happen. Heather is awesome. She can hang with the best.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Heather. For Jazzy, I mean, I'm a fan of the whole Sho Yang thing. I love the movie, man. I grew up watching that junk. I mean,
Right.
when she came out that way, it ripped me real hard. I had to laugh. It was just amazing to see somebody actually come out looking like that, shown up. But yeah, the match was good. It was it's everything I thought. I really thought Heather got the best of Jazzy, but she did tap. So on to the next.
Yeah, it's I will say this. You mentioned that this is Armenia. Whenever you're debuting at a big show, well, debuting anyway at SHW can be challenging because there are nerves, there's all kinds of things. But when you have a massive show like the anniversary, 2 rings, and it's your debut match, your debut singles match, that's a tough space to be in. And so it's easy to feel that kind of pressure when you're out there. And again, against Heather Monroe, who is a veteran, they had a really, really solid match. And I think we're now getting to see what this Sho Yang is really all about, because the challenge in SHW is not just winning one match. You got to come back and do it again. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the future for Sho Yang. But yeah, quite the debut for sure. And how she got her, what she called them, the Yang Gang? Like those guys, like, what was that? That was crazy.
I don't know, but two of the Yang Gang, I would have to say I'd have to pick somebody else to take those spots, because they kind of looked a lot like Exotic Youth, and those guys, I mean...
Whoa. I don't know what you're talking about, Diana. I don't know what you're talking about.
When Danny J came out, she made light work of those punks. And, I mean, I don't know. I could say so much, but God bless Pep Bottom and Zach Mosley and the mullet and all the stuff he's got going for him.
Wait. We don't know their names. I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't know any.
Look,
I didn't know any
like
of the names
Bryce
of the
Kennedy
Yang
came
Gang.
out twice at the Roman Jack dressed as whatever the God knows he was. I know those guys very well.
Whoa. Are you talking about Brandon Canyon, luchador extraordinaire?
Right. That's right.
I think you're confused. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, am I? Okay, well, we're going to just watch the tape back.
Yeah.
But hey,
she's confused.
Nobody in wrestling. I mean, he has $1 million mullet. Nobody else.
Well, she did say she wasn't feeling well that night. So
I wasn't,
that's
and maybe I was delusional because I'm having withdrawals.
That's
I'm not
possible.
slapping them enough. But maybe that's what it is.
Well, speaking of, you mentioned Danny Jordan, okay, and we hadn't really touched on that. Danny Jordan, the real mean girl,
he was called out.
By the way, I know some of you fans are just listening to this episode and you can't see it, but Cyrus, when you make that face, it gives me flashbacks. And it freaks me out.
It frightened me.
I'm just saying.
Like,
just a little.
Yes, sir.
But so
it's my resting face.
Right.
They're gonna have to excuse themselves and go to the bathroom.
So the real mean girl shows up out of nowhere. We didn't know she was in the building for the anniversary. And Jazzy Yang, she ends the match. She gets the win. And I won't say that I was shocked. I was a little bit, going into it. I thought Heather Monroe's the veteran here, been around a while. Jazzy's still fairly new. This new look, this new attitude's brand new. And I don't know. And then she got the win. I thought, wow, okay, that's great. Then she says to the crowd, "Who's the gang?" And apparently somebody in the crowd yelled out Danny Jordan, because that flipped a switch. And she was like, "Danny Jordan? Where's Danny Jordan?" And then all of a sudden, Danny Jordan's music hits, and I didn't even know she was there. And she made her way out to the stage, high-fiving the fans. We talk about a new attitude for Jazzy. How about a new attitude for Danny? I think I even said the real mean girl's here, and then she's high-fiving all the kids in the front row, and I'm like, what? Wait a second. That's not like the real mean girl. What's going on here? So I don't know. We got a new attitude for Danny as well, apparently. But she did take out a couple of members of the Yang Gang with ease, it seemed.
That got me in my feels. I mean, I was warm and fuzzy.
And we and we talked about what's next for Jazzy or for the show Yang. Could it be Danny Jordan? We don't know. I know, Danny's been dealing with injuries off and on over the last year, and so I don't know when she's going to be back on a regular
Danny's
basis.
going to come back when she's ready to come back. And I'm a fan. I love Danny. I don't know that if I was Jazzy, she did well, her debut as well, but I don't know that I would have called out Danny to start my feud with.
My take
I don't
on
know
it,
that I would have done that.
My take on it, just from a fan's perspective, it seems that she knows that Danny is basically the women's division of SHW. Like, it's Danny's house.
Division. I mean, Rekka's nowhere found anymore. So I mean, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Here comes the slander.
Rekka, I know.
I was just sitting here calm, relaxing, and then
I wasn't gonna name names.
I will say this. I think the reason she called out Danny is this: if you want to get to the top of the food chain, you work your way up, and that is what she's doing by calling Danny out. If we're gonna call a spade, we've not seen Danny Jordan in an SHW ring for a year. Well, what happened a year ago?
Unless you count Rumble Jack, where she did come and eliminate Jazzy.
Well, but she wasn't even a formal entrant into the Rumble Jack. So we've not seen her. And I realized as I began thinking, when was the last time we saw Danny Jordan in an SHW ring?
Against Rekka.
My memory tells me it was still here 3 against the Queen, Rekka Tahaka.
And she wasn't in a ring. She was in your lap.
Was she? Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Like GB would ever forget
literally.
that.
Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate that.
Also, and I know,
but I want to
be
clear, it was
GB.
not Danny that was in my lap. Danny tried to whip me.
She was
and
in
hit
your
me
table.
on the table. Yeah. So I was just trying to protect the Queen. That's all I was doing.
And I know what you're gonna say to this, GB, but yes, that's the last time we saw Danny in an SHW ring. She also won that match. But I know you're gonna say that was a very controversial match.
There was great controversy around that.
There was controversy,
match.
but in the books, Danny's got the W.
Oh, so we're gonna do that with Kyle and Chip as well, right? We're not gonna acknowledge the Got it.
There's controversy.
But you can acknowledge it. You can acknowledge the controversy.
In other words, there needs to be a rematch, no doubt. There needs to be a rematch. Yes. But in the books,
acknowledge her.
W.
She's the queen of the table. Acknowledge her.
We have taken a far right turn here talking about last year.
I didn't bring this up. I just want to be clear. I did not bring this up. I was staying on course.
My point was, I feel like there's something brewing between Danny and the show Yang. What that is, I'm not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. But anyways, we will move on to the next match.
It was smart. I will say it's smart that Sho Yang went after Danny. Danny's been injured, so she tried to pick on somebody that she thought was weak. Danny is not weak. Just because we haven't seen her in a ring doesn't mean that Danny's not strong. And I think Danny's probably forgotten more than Sho Yang remembers. So I think she has to be very, very careful in dealing with Danny, because Danny's got some tricks up her sleeve whenever she decides to pull them out.
There you go.
It does.
It's a good point.
It's gonna be interesting. See it.
Well, of course, you know what match we're about to get to. But before we do, I just have a quick question. GB talked about debuting in SHW and how that might could play with your nerves a little bit, and how it's kind of a big deal, especially when you're talking about the 3-time promotion of the year in the state of Georgia. And it made me wonder, Cyrus, our guest here today, do you recall what was going through your mind when you made your way into SHW for the first time? I know that's been a couple years ago at this point, but do you remember what you were thinking kind of coming in with was Logan Chase, right?
Yes.
At the time, not our buddy. Now, of course, we've grown fond of Logan over the years, but do you remember what was going through your mind at the time?
Logan Chase, my boy. So
yeah,
just saying. Until we die.
I got you.
I was thinking really like we're just gonna come in and tear it up.
Yeah.
I was ready. Like,
Yeah.
I knew people would remember us, and it would be a great thing.
Well, you're kind of hard
Yeah.
to forget.
That's true.
That's exactly.
You
You
kind
got
of
to
leave
make
an
an impact,
impression.
right?
Mhm.
Little bit, just a little.
There's not many
Small one.
like you out there.
No,
One of
no,
one.
no, no.
One of one.
You
That's
yeah,
it.
you always make an impact, especially to the commentary table. Because
I enjoy that.
you and
Of
Judas
course,
both.
I see.
you look like you do.
We'll get to this in a minute because I do
Mm.
want to we'll touch on this here. But I do want to talk about this matchup, a huge matchup that's been literally 11 months
About
in
a
the
year.
making because November of last year, Judas got in the ring after winning his match. He says, "There's not one man that can pin me alone." Familiar music hits. It's Cyrus the Destroyer makes his way to the ring. We see our first confrontation in an SHW ring between Cyrus and Judas. Then we talked about this a little bit off air, but GB, you've said it on commentary a few times. It was like ships passing in the night. It was like, for whatever
Absolutely.
reason, one of you guys couldn't be there that the next month or the next month. And it was like, when are we going to see this match? We've got to see this match. And then it was earlier this year. We thought we were going to get the match, but you guys never made it into the ring to officially start the match. And you brawled all over the building. And yeah,
Spike in the eye.
that's when Judas pulls out that spike.
Yeah,
Judas
spike
pulled
in
out
the
the
eye.
spike for the first time.
That would be the time I really thought you were going to destroy the commentary table that night. I don't
So,
know if
yeah.
you were blind, you couldn't see where you were, but I was like, holy crap, my boys are about to go through the floor.
Yeah.
I was just listening for voices, and then when I didn't hear Judas's voice, I didn't break nothing. You know.
Yeah.
If I could have
I'm
found
glad.
Oh man.
Mhm.
But yeah,
There
so
was
that
a whole lot of screaming and no.
So-
Whole lot.
so that was a wild night. And then again, we never officially got the match. And you know, several months went by. And then we finally see last month the video played that said you were going to be returning at the anniversary show. Last man standing, Cyrus Judas. It finally went down this past Friday. And man, what a show you guys put on. One that we definitely will soon never forget. I know the crowd will never forget either, but what a wild night that was, man. And your thoughts on the build up and just making your way back to SHW after being away for a while and finally having this big match with Judas.
And you know, my thoughts with that, the whole matchup with Judas, even 11 months with Southern Honor, there was other promotions trying to book us and just never worked. Like, so this has been over a year in the making.
Wow.
So to finally be able to bring it together, like Southern Honor, to be able to bring this match together and make it happen, you know, it was a great moment, you know, for me and I believe Judas. The video when that popped up, you know, that was great. You know, that video when it popped up, I was still in Japan. So, and you know, GB, I wasn't dreaming or thinking that I woke up in Japan. I was actually there. Just let you know that.
Kind of
He's
amazing.
listening.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's good to
He
know.
was
'cause
actually there.
Seemed like a dream to me. So
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
you know, and you know, I made sure that Southern Honor was the first show I did when I got back from Japan.
Wow.
Like, I had so many other opportunities and I didn't take them. I made sure Southern Honor was the one because I knew the match with Judas and I were coming.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to scare the hell out of y'all guys, you know? Like,
It's rare that you don't, and I'm telling you, I have to stand from afar just to make sure everything's good. I keep an eye on my guys over there, but Jesus, to see their faces, you have got to go back and look at those photos.
oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. It was a beautiful thing. Like, we made poetry.
It's a horror show.
Oh,
That might be more
horror show.
accurate. Sheesh. Wow.
I'm just
Halloween.
glad. I'm glad that I didn't pass out because I was on the verge of the heart.
Yeah,
was
your
beating fast.
face, his face was red.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, oh
You know,
God,
the
oh God,
eyeballs.
no,
I've never
no.
seen so much of those
Mhm.
eyeballs just popping out. It's like,
Oh
holy
yeah.
crap.
Hey, I'm telling you, if you're listening or watching us right now, any of the fans, trust me, when the Destroyer is this far away from your face, roaring like a
Screaming.
T-Rex or whatever, just like right in your face. Yeah.
Hey, and there's no lies about it. Like if Judas wouldn't hit me there at the end and got me away or whatever, he was going through that table. He or I were going through that damn table. Like it was going to happen. I don't care. Like I'm in the moment.
I get it. Yeah.
I get in that ring. Oh my God, you're my worst enemy.
So I'm curious because obviously in most of the matches you're in, you're the larger competitor. There are very few times where you're in a match where anybody can stand nose to nose with you. What kind of preparation did you have to finally have this kind of match with Judas? Because again, you guys basically the same height, equally tough, which is a completely different build of someone you would normally face. So what kind of preparation did you have to have for that?
4 letters. K-I-L-L.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Ooh.
The mindset now.
Ooh. Chills.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I reckon that's probably your mindset for like any match, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter the size.
Or suffer. Like I like that too, I just but mostly kill. Like just KILL. You go after it and you kill the competition and anybody that gets in your way.
Well, you don't get
announcers.
Destroyer
Hey, come on, man.
for not doing that, right? I mean, it's in.
Do what now?
You don't get the name Destroyer by not destroying your competition.
Exactly. Destroy, rampage.
Around and domination, demolish. It's crazy. It's a show. I'm not gonna lie. It's always a mess when you leave.
Hey, and that's what you look for. Like you bring that game, you keep fans in the seats, right?
When their faces like.
Well, you say fans in the seats. Now, when you guys approach, they scatter. They're still in the building, but they're not.
I know
in
they gave me weapons to use against him.
That's right.
And that was amazing.
They give you the seats. Yeah.
My favorite part is the prosthetic leg. I don't know what is going on in that crew over there. That prosthetic leg.
Who in the world is hopping around on one leg? I never saw who it was.
Take your leg off and let somebody beat somebody to death with it.
No, and I think that was a turning point. Was the prosthetic leg?
I think it was loaded. I think it was loaded. It had like extra weight in it.
Yeah, but I looked to the left and I picked it up and I'm like, that's heavy.
Yeah.
And I hit him right in the damn head with it. And it felt amazing.
Wow.
Oh boy.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
Go out of your way, fans. I'm telling you, go out of your way. Watch this on IWTV. It was an insane last man standing match. And we said going into it and in the weeks leading up to the show, I don't know how either one of these guys can stay down for a 10 count. And it would take a very, very heavy casket in order to keep Judas down for a 10 count. And here's the thing, like nobody had any clue. I don't guess you had any clue he was going to be bringing a casket out to the stage. Like none of us knew that was coming. And yeah, I mean, did you know that was going to be there?
No, when I walked out of the curtain that night, I looked down, I saw that casket and I was like, oh, mind games.
Yeah.
And I was like, so he wants somebody to die tonight. So I drug it off to the side and my thing was I'm going to bury you at the end. It's going to happen. And match went on and who knows.
Sure enough. I mean,
even though I am sitting here,
so you dumped that thing 3 feet off of the stage onto him laying in the floor. I was like, if he was to get up out of that, I would have to say the guy's not human, but he didn't. That was it. He was down for the 10.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like everybody anticipated one of you guys in it. I didn't anticipate
under it.
You throwing it on top of him. I mean, that was what was crazy. That was insane.
Yeah. I think that was a turning point. Like I realized that casket was open there towards the end and he grabbed me around the throat and I was like, this is my chance, and did the turning point. I don't think he expected somebody to be able to pick him up.
Yeah, well,
and when I picked him up and threw him on top of it.
Yeah. Sheesh.
I'd like to think that I gave you a little extra motivation by getting in your face a few minutes
Yeah.
prior. So,
Oh
wow.
yeah, you were totally in my face. Like,
so you're
I
welcome.
remember you were right there so close. Like,
Wow.
Saw the
I was like,
whites of his for the fear.
Oh man,
Yeah.
what an
Oh,
insane match! I'm telling you. So
I
of
think I
course
almost slipped in a puddle when I was walking away. There was a
Oh,
puddle
wow.
and I almost slipped. So
that's my bad. That's
just
my
saying,
bad.
they
My
got
fault.
Pampers.
You
Puddle
should
of
have made him fall into
inspiration.
the casket, Brandon. You have to control yourself.
I told you I was glad I was wearing my dark pants so nobody would notice. But
Yeah.
Darkness
my
doesn't
fault.
matter when it's wet.
I know. Anyways, let's move on here. Enough about my bladder control.
Bodily
Let's
function.
move on. Uh, so that was an insane match. Again, like I said, go out of your way to see it on IWTV. And of course, that's going to take us to the War Chamber, the big main event, double ring surrounded by one big old cage. You had 10 guys, 5 guys for Team SHW, 5 guys for Team Dishonor. And man, what I don't even know where to start with this one. GB, I'm going to turn this one over to you to get us into it.
Well, it was pure madness, obviously. It started off, of course, with Carly Bravo and the returning David Ali, both of whom had really great entrances.
Yeah.
From Carly's dedication to Coolio to the whole comic-driven David Ali. It was crazy. And to see those two in the cage for 5 minutes, nobody was there in their way. It was crazy. And then it just got crazier and crazier and crazier. We saw all kinds of things. I mean, like, it's almost too hard to describe because so much happened during that War Chamber. And of course, everybody's talking about how the match ended, which we talk about controversy. And you talk about the mind games, which I think is really the whole thing that defines this entire run we've seen with Dishonor. It has been a mind game, a consistent mind game, with Brooklyn always being 1 or 2 or even 3 steps ahead of Gary and SHW, and they proved that again last Friday.
Well, we had talked about how tight-knit Dishonor is, the team of Dishonor is, and how the 5 chosen to represent Southern Honor, they had their own, they had their beef. They had their, there wasn't a unit. The only unit was on the Dishonor side. So I'm not surprised at how it ended. I'm not surprised that Gunner took it upon himself to throw the whole Southern Honor team under the bus and surrender to save the neck of Gary. When I know, you guys know Gary, I know Gary would have probably preferred to just take the hit
He
and
said
let
it on
his
social
team
media.
win.
Yeah, he said it on social media, and Murder One said it as well. He's like, I would have sacrificed Gary in a
Would have
heartbeat.
sacrificed him in a minute just before his team for the greater good.
Yeah, you got to get the W.
But
You get
right,
the
to
win.
save the neck of Gary, which didn't save him anyway because he still took the light tubes to the back. He was still laid out bloody.
Which, by the way,
did nothing.
Again, here we are thinking we're out of harm's way up on the stage, and no, because we're getting sprayed by glass. Going as it's hit over Gary's back, it's just spraying Gerard, myself, and then of course you got Brooklyn screaming in my ear as well. And Cyrus, I got to be honest, I think I prefer you screaming in my face more than I do Brooklyn screaming in my face. But anyways,
probably a good thing.
It was a wild ending, and the way we left the show, and I have to apologize because I just got up and walked off because I didn't know what to say. And GB
there was
closed
nothing
it out.
to say. Look, Faye was saying enough.
Yeah, of course, you had the fans screaming that the team failed Gary. Here we are thinking that Gunner did the right thing trying to help Gary, when it turned
but we
out.
knew. I mean, I don't know if anybody else knew, but I knew. I mean, just because you say, hold on, we're going to surrender.
I mean, it's cruel.
Don't hurt Gary. It's cruel. It's Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, of all people, if Prue wouldn't have done it, she'd have told him to do it anyway because that's her nature. So why surrender? Just get the win. Fight it out. I mean, he's gonna be all right. He'll be fine.
Get it. There's an old saying, winners win at all costs, no matter what.
Right. Right.
Cyrus, I got to ask you because I'm intrigued. I haven't had a chance to talk to anybody else about this. What are your feelings about Gunner's decision to surrender Team SHW in an attempt to save Gary? Do you think he did the right thing? How do you feel about that as part of the roster?
That's on him. I'm an independent. So at the end of the day,
It's about
Mm.
Cyrus's record. Who mad about, right?
and who's got the money? Just saying. Like,
Look now,
Interesting.
if Brooklyn comes at you with a wad of cash, I don't want to see you change in your stride there now. Come on.
Well, he
We-
Don't
no,
make
I'll-
me
I'll-
get all Wonder
we-
Woman up and come at
We
you.
could be opening a
No,
can
no.
of worms here. We should be careful. Don't give anybody any ideas here.
I only play by my own rules, nobody else's. So
That's
at the end of the day, you can pay me all the money to help you, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to do me.
right. If it doesn't
Mm.
benefit you, it doesn't matter. Just take the cash and go, right?
That's it.
I'm for you.
Good answer.
Well,
Good answer.
I'll tell you this. I don't want to put any additional pressure on Gunnar Miller, but I do believe I've seen a number of people who represent this country have said we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Thank
The
you.
idea that he would negotiate with Cruel in Brooklyn and think that they would stick to their end of the bargain just makes me wonder, like, what were you thinking about in that moment? I mean, this is the same Cruel in Brooklyn who put you at number 1 in the Rumble Jack. You win the Rumble Jack and feel like, okay, I'm going to get a shot at a later date. And they say, oh, no, not a later date, right now. They've
After 30
proven
minutes.
their track record. Right. They've proven their track record. So I'm not quite sure why he thought they would save Gary merely if he surrendered. I don't understand that. I don't understand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Go ahead.
sometimes I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Sometimes in order to win the war, you have to be willing to sacrifice.
Mhm.
And if you're not willing to sacrifice, you'll never win the war. So
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think he realized his mistake after the fact because he released a video right after the match, from later in the
Yeah.
night. He was back in the dressing room and just basically saying at this point he's going to do whatever it takes to go after every member of Dishonor and take him out one by one. And he says he vows he's never going to let what happened the other night happen again. So what does that mean moving forward? Who does he go after first? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, no offense there, but it's not like we're having another war chamber next month where he gets a do-over, right? So, I mean, to me, I don't know if he gets put in the position again to represent the company in something with such high stakes. I mean, that's the issue here. The company, this is arguably bigger than the title. This is the direction of the company on the line.
This is the whole thing.
And if Gary's your guy and he handpicks you to be in this, and I'm sure he was putting all of his chips on this and you let him down. I mean, I'm just wondering. I've never seen, and for those who don't know, Faye obviously works there at the Action Building. I've never heard her so vocal in my life. I saw grown men cry.
Yeah.
I saw grown
now,
men
hey,
crying.
Look,
GB,
Cyrus is loving it. He's like, where? I didn't see it.
you told me that you wouldn't tell anybody I was crying.
I
And now
wasn't
you
no,
just
you were
told
crying.
him.
I
he was crying the
wasn't
whole night. GB, like all night, he was crying
all night. But no, I looked out in the audience and saw people crying, grown men, and I just said to myself, guys, what just happened here? David Ali came from Chicago to help fight. Like, I don't think he's going to show up next month. Who knows? I mean, it's just, I don't know that there's going to be another opportunity like that to create the kind of damage that could have been created to Dishonor. And so in terms of him saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to let it happen again. Well, I'm not sure he's going to be put in position to let it happen again, because I don't know that an opportunity like that is coming anytime soon.
Yeah, if anything, it made Dishonor even stronger
Oh,
and more
absolutely.
confident, and the momentum is definitely on the side of Dishonor. So I don't know how you come out of this. It's like I was saying about Cyrus and Judas. How do you keep one of these big men down? How do you do it? I do not know how to do it. How do you beat Dishonor? How do you dethrone Brooklyn from being Booker? How do you do it? How do you do it?
Hey,
There's
it's
so
the
much I
question
can
we've
say.
been asking for what? How many months now? 5 months, 6
Ever
months?
since May, yeah.
Yeah, however long it's been, we've been asking ever since. So I don't know. And one thing
Somebody's
we
got to
do
get
know.
devious.
What's that?
Somebody's got to get devious and very creative.
Yeah.
It's got to get ugly. It's going to get uglier.
Well, and here's the other thing that we don't know. Many could be on the side of Cyrus that says, hey, look, I'm staying out of this mess.
Exactly.
I just want to come, be at Southern Honor, and leave. They don't necessarily want to get involved in the turf war.
I mean, there were 12
So-
guys in the beginning
now-
of the show that could have come help, but they were, why would they? You know?
Well, go ahead, sir. You were going to say something.
I'm only out of this mess as long as they don't get in my way for my long view. If they get in my way in my long view, I don't care who it is, whatever side it is, I'll take them out.
Fair enough.
Well, let's just hope that train runs through Dishonor and not through. So.
Well,
you heard him,
we'll see.
Diana.
I know.
That's the key.
But he also said money didn't matter as long as he was for his end goal. So pay me, but I'm still going to betray you, right?
Well, not necessarily.
You
He
can
didn't say
pay
I'll
me.
betray you.
You can pay me, but
No,
that doesn't mean
no.
that I'm going to do what you want me to do. I'll take your money, but if what you want me to do is not beneficial for me, then why would you do it, right?
That's only if you don't agree to my terms.
Thank you.
Hmm.
I'll still take your money, though, right?
That's it.
I'll take your money.
Wait. Are we paying Diana now? I'm confused. I got confused about this whole thing.
Look, this show has kept me awake at night for the past week. I've had things run through my mind that I would have wanted to do. I don't know why I'm holding the microphone. I sometimes I just really want to just
Don't say it too loud.
I know.
Don't
I'm not
say
a
it too
wrestler.
loud.
I'm not. I'm more of a brawler, I guess, but I'm not a
But
wrestler.
we've seen non-wrestlers end up in the ring before. So
I know.
Yes,
I'm not
we have.
Now,
I'm not gonna,
I
I'm
think
just
you'll
saying,
fare better, though. I think
Yes,
you'll
you
fare
will.
better.
I don't know if that opportunity would ever
We will.
happen or if I would either take it, but still, I mean the thing.
Diana, what if it came down to you versus Brooklyn for direction of this company?
Now you're tripping.
I told
wouldn't
you we were
back
opening
down.
cans of worms left and right here.
I wouldn't back down. I mean, she's screamed in my face plenty of times. She's bossed me around because I allowed it. But I'm a freaking woman too. I mean, I wouldn't back down. If it came down to me having to be the one to step up, let me get my heels off. Let me pull my earrings out of my ears. Hang on. Just give me a second.
People would pay money to see that. Just saying.
I would.
Yes, they would.
Pay money.
You're not helping, Cyrus. I was trying to steer away from this whole idea, but here we go. Controversy creates cash, as they say.
I don't know.
Creates cash.
It wouldn't be a pretty situation. I wouldn't say I'd want to do it because I don't like to fight. But oh my God, if it came down to it, I would not say no.
Let's wrap things up here from this perspective. Let's wrap this recap up.
We've learned a lot on this episode today.
We're dodging landmines left and right here. I'm trying to okay.
It's a whole year, right?
I love controversy. I'm just saying. Controversy is amazing.
It is.
So we always joke about stirring the pot here. So Cyrus is in the right place because he just likes to stir the pot.
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, so the way we wrapped the show up the other day, like I said, I think we even said on the at the end of the show, like we didn't even know, is SHW coming back for next month? Like we don't know what's going to happen. Well, we found out earlier this week that SHW45 is taking place November 4th. And we also found out a big main event. In addition to Kyle and Chip going 30 minutes in an Iron Man match for the number one contendership, we found out Tank, the Bloodbath Behemoth, is getting a title shot against Cruel for the main event at SHW45. Now, how this came about, I do not know. I do know that Cruel has over the last year or two really kind of ventured into that deathmatch wrestling side of himself.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Brooklyn is booking this because this is something Cruel wants, because he knows that Tank is a deathmatch legend and he just wants to prove to SHW how insane he can be. And I don't know. But
That's
what
a
I do
trap.
know,
There were some key encounters.
you think it's a trap,
Tank-
Cyrus?
Oh, it's a trap.
Yeah.
You're gonna put Deathmatch King Tank in the ring with Cruel? That's
a trap for who? A trap for who, though?
That's a trap for Cruel.
Okay.
You're getting a little too overconfident there when you go against Tank there.
Well, that's what my thought was. But I mean,
Mhm.
Brooklyn's the one booking, so I figured she's the one that booked it. I don't know if she is thinking about that, or I don't know what she's thinking, to be honest with you.
Could you
I ain't
imagine
got no sleeves, but
Sam?
sometimes people have things up their sleeves.
Mhm.
So, but I have no
a few
sleeves.
tricks,
So
a few tricks.
yeah,
Mhm.
maybe.
Well, Dan has a cloak, so who knows what he's got in that thing.
Yeah.
No
And
kidding.
we're looking at mind games here. You know, we talked about Brooklyn and her mind games, but remember last year or so, the mind games that Tank pulled on a certain cameraman who he convinced that, hey, if you come in the ring dressed as Reverend Dan Wilson, I'll give you a match on Southern Honor. Oh, it'll be a death match against Tank. They have very persuasive ways. The mind games that both of these two entities can play with each other can create a very interesting situation. Think about, you were talking about the trap, Cyrus, earlier this year, the trap that Tank laid for Gunnar Miller, that they have to have just a regular wrestling match. And Tank won, and nobody expected that.
Well,
he never made it to the ring, but
Gunnar got jumped
But this
backstage.
is
he got
but
the
this
W.
goes back to what Cyrus was saying.
Yeah, but in that match, I kind of remember like Gunnar came crawling out through the curtain for that match.
Precisely.
Bloody and all that.
Precisely. So what's to say that Tank won't do something similar to Cruel?
Who knows?
I hope he does.
Kind of like a Kevin
we all hope
Sullivan.
he does.
Am I looking at that? Am I looking at that right? Like Reverend Dan as Kevin Sullivan, and Brooklyn's kind of like Precious, and kind of gets that going on.
I think she's more devious than Precious.
Oh, she definitely is.
She's
But when you get
definitely
in
more
her head,
devious.
can you turn her?
Interesting.
We will have a few weeks to discuss and preview the upcoming show, SHW45. That's not until November 4th. We've got a few weeks until then. And of course, we will hear more match announcements, I'm sure, in between now and then. But there's your wrap up for SHW Still Here for. And is that
What
the
you doing there,
is that?
Cyrus? What
Is
are you
that
doing?
the spike?
What are you scratching your eye with, man?
What was
What's
that?
that?
The spike.
That's not cool. What is that?
This is creeping me out, man. Cut it out.
Like a dentist thing?
It bothers me a little bit.
Ever since you got the spike to the eye, I would imagine so. But hey, now that we've got now that we got the recap out of the way and we've got our guest here, I do want to. GB, you gonna be all right?
He's freaked out.
Wow.
He's gonna throw up.
GB's face. GB, I thought your computer froze for a second. Your face froze.
No.
That was a good face. It was a good face. Yeah, like.
Put that thing down, man.
Oh God. Wow.
Well, what I was gonna say, why we have you here, because we never really get a chance to chat, chat with you. And so you've been in Japan. You mentioned that earlier. Let's talk about that a little bit. Was this your second trip? Or how many
My
times?
third trip.
Third trip.
Third trip. Yeah. There 3 months. So it was a amazing experience. Like getting to learn from Tajiri.
That's awesome.
It was probably one of the best moments. Yoshitatsu.
Were you tagging with him?
I did. Yeah. I got to tag with him a few times. Then at the end of my tour, I tagged against him. And
wow.
I was with Christopher Daniels on that one. So
nice.
Oh, cool.
A great match.
Speaking of eyes, Christopher Daniels still got that crazy eye.
Yeah. So
eye.
I think that made us a better team. Just saying.
Fair enough. Wow.
Well, there you go.
But I love time in Japan. Amazing experience.
That's awesome. So I've never been over there, and I don't know if GB or Diana has, but I'm just curious. Like, I know there's just so many differences. Is there any kind of, now this was your third time, but say like the first time you went, was there just so much culture shock when you got over there?
Yeah, calling matches was the biggest culture shock because of the
Okay.
language barrier,
Yeah.
And but after that, culture shock, yeah, it's a little different. Everyone treats everybody a little different. Like everyone has respect for everybody, especially in public.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
that was a big culture shock being from the city and all that. You're not used to everybody being nice.
Yeah, no
Mhm.
kidding. In the
Now,
crowd,
are
the
you
audience
from the
too.
city? Where are you from?
Do what now?
Where are you actually from?
I'm actually originally from Ringo, Georgia.
Okay.
Ringo.
It's right near the
Ringo.
border, right?
Because you
Tennessee?
kind of talk like from down
Ringo,
here.
Chattanooga.
Okay.
Do what now?
You kind of talk
Lafayette?
no, you talk like folks from down in my area.
Oh, no, Ringo. But we got Chickamauga and Lafayette and all that stuff. So that's that country voice. That's why I don't speak a lot.
Country.
Mm.
You are straight country. So I bet that language barrier was something to get.
Oh, it was amazing, but people love the accent. So
Yeah, I get that a lot too. Yeah.
yeah.
Say this, say that.
So,
Shut up.
that's it. Yeah. Say tomato. Mater.
Maters and taters, baby.
That's it. That's it. So, but yeah, Japan, just phenomenal. Love it. Love the culture. I got to travel almost all over Japan this last tour. So excited.
That's awesome.
Excited
Going
about
back?
the future. Doing now?
Yeah.
Going back?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
The date ain't set yet exact, but I'm in the workings with the company over there right now. So
Good
same
deal.
company I was with. I was with All Japan the last tour.
Okay.
So
That's
and
awesome.
Tajiri liked me a lot. So
Good.
That's very good.
I'm
apparently
not,
the owners like me a lot too. So that's another great thing.
well,
So
that's always
humbled,
good. Always good. Yeah.
humbled
was
by the
curious.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Doing
that's
now?
awesome.
Good.
That's cool. No, I was going to say, is Tajiri, is he helping run things over there? Or is he working
He's,
backstage?
he's actually one of the coaches there, like
Okay.
for the young guys coming up, and they're intense.
Mm.
I've heard.
It's crazy. Like I've went to some of the classes. I'm like, nope. I'm
Yeah.
gonna walk this way, guys. I'm gonna go over here and lift some heavy weight, and
Yeah.
y'all let me know if you need me to pick you up and throw you around or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but he's one of the big guys in it. So, and they run a committee there, which
Mhm.
is amazing, and it's enjoyable. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always
No,
get starstruck when I'm talking about it because I'm still trying to think about like, man, you were just in Japan and
Mhm.
you were doing all this and you
Yeah.
you traveled everywhere.
Amazing.
So I tell
It's
everybody,
amazing.
humbling experience.
Yeah. Yeah. The
That's awesome.
experience in terms of Japanese wrestling, it's one of those things that pure wrestling fans in the States are always in awe of
Yeah.
because there's the strong style, there's the massive respect. For you, what do you find to be one of the biggest differences between wrestling in Japan and wrestling in the States?
Oh, man. I think Japan's, God, I don't want to take away from either one of them because
Sure.
like there's so many great things. Like Japan focuses in certain matches, less is more. Like
Mhm.
that big climax moment, the big hit. It's like,
Mhm.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And then sometimes in the States it's quicker hitting, but then it gets vice versa.
Mhm.
So I honestly think like both countries have made such a good intertwine with it
Yeah.
that it's there.
Wow.
Now,
Wow.
strong style, sometimes you get back and you hit a guy a little too hard. They're like, come
Yeah.
on. And it's
Yeah.
like, they're used to it, man. There's a guy half your size taking this.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and it's another thing. So I can't take away from either one. Like, I love both cultures of wrestling.
Yeah.
I love the entertainment factor. I love the strong style. I love
Mhm.
every bit of it. So I'm just fortunate enough to be able to do it in both.
Yeah. Awesome. So good.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
Do you have, you mentioned, you kind of briefly mentioned goals earlier. Do you have any kind of major goals? Obviously, you've been to Japan, and that was probably one of your big goals at one point, and you've been over there. Is there any kind of goals you have left that you haven't attained yet in the world of professional wrestling that that you see yourself in a few years down the road?
See myself like not being arrogant, but lots of championships.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm about to put my head down and go forward like a raging bull, and if you get in my way, so be it. That was the whole thing earlier about the whole money thing,
Yeah.
all that. You get in the way of my end goal, I'm done. Like
Mhm.
I'm going to take you out. So,
Yeah.
but like necessarily future, I've got a lot of stuff lined up, and I'm excited about it. I can't talk about it a lot,
Sure.
but
Gotcha.
sometimes
Good
when you talk about
stuff.
stuff, then it just disappears like that overnight, and they're like, "What are you doing?" It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the fans. Love all my fans too, by the way. Just saying.
Could you touch on, you told us something earlier before we started before we got on the air about
Yeah.
the kids that came up to you. Touch on that a second, because that was a pretty funny story.
Yeah, that was a great story. I had a little kid come up to me, and he's like, he was scared of me at first, and he's like, "Why don't you want to kill everybody?" And I'm like, "Are you in the ring against me? If you're not against me, then I'm with you." And he was all about it after that. So
Yeah.
That's so awesome. It's got to be so
That's
cool
awesome.
to, and we see this at SHW every month, like all the little kids in the crowd, because sometimes as fans, and we've been fans for so long, and at this point, so long into our adult life, that sometimes you forget what it's like when you first became a fan when you were a little kid, and to see what you guys do in the ring every month, and to see the looks on their faces, in the crowd, and it just takes you, it's like, oh wow, I remember that now. Like that's what it's all about right there. That's awesome.
yeah, I think that's one of those things where you hope you can be a great role model for those kids, regardless of what role you play in wrestling or anything. Like at the end of the day, you just still show them that there's kindness in the world. So I'm all about that. Like I love it, and I absolutely love kids. It's my big thing. That's a funny story too, because that's why when I was a kid, I was always such a big fan of Jason Voorhees, because he didn't hurt kids. He only went after the mean adults, so
Yeah.
Wow. That's true. I mean,
I
that's
never
so
realized
true.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was it. And I set my heart out towards that. I set my heart out towards fans. Like I know Southern Honor, they're great at drawing crowds.
yeah.
And I've been in front of crowds of 15 people, and I still gave the same performance versus 15 to 150 to 300 to 1500. They got the same Cyrus, because I knew they paid their hard-earned money to come watch us.
Right.
And I hope other wrestlers can see that, and they keep pushing for it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That is awesome, man. Well, I feel like we could talk for a long time here, but we do have to wrap it up. And it's interesting because I wasn't sure what this was going to be like, having you as a guest on here, because we only see you in the ring or next to the commentary booth at the shows, and it's a whole different side. So it's kind of nice to pull back some of the layers of Cyrus here on this
Right.
episode
It's
of the
good.
podcast.
Like Diana said earlier, you're miles away, right? So
Right.
Right.
I can hit my end button anytime.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I know now is that I will never stand in the way of your goals ever. So you don't have to worry about that.
Or the money.
We're good.
This
We're
way,
good.
right
Put
there.
that thing down. Put that thing down. He's gonna throw up.
GB, yeah, you're making GB sick over there.
Oh man.
Anyways, but I do want to thank you for coming on, and
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me.
Absolutely, man. Is there anything
Yes.
before we go that you want to anywhere you want to tell the fans where they can reach you on social media or anything like that?
You can find me on social media, pretty much the Monster Cyrus. Like, you look on Facebook, of course, Cyrus McQuarter. Instagram's the Monster Cyrus. Twitter, the Monster Cyrus. So, or Cyrus the Destroyer. So, either way, or heck, just Google me. I'm all on Google now. So
The man's world
Right.
famous. He's been all over the
Yes.
place. So
that's it. We're getting
Yeah.
there. We're getting there.
International.
One step.
yes, sir. Well, man, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a lot of fun.
Hey, thank y'all.
And absolutely. And we can't wait to see you sometime soon in the near future. And of course, we will see all the fans watching and listening. We'll see you right back here on this show next Friday. But until then, this has been
SHW.
This is our wrestling.